Anthony, I remember talking to you back when the film came out all those years ago.
You don't look old enough.
I know. Thank you for that. Neither do you, per se.
Oh, that's nice to hear too.
What you
Yes,
know,
but that was a long time ago.
it really was, and it's funny because I'm watching this series and I binged. I don't watch a lot of television lately, especially because there's so much. This is just a fun watch on every level.
You've seen the whole of season two?
Seen the whole season two,
Wow, that's
yes.
great. Well, I'm thrilled. I mean,
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And
yeah.
it's very exciting for me. You know, this conversation with you and today, what's happening in this junket. It's the first time I've actually met people who've seen the show because apart from the production, you know, very few people in the world have actually seen it start to finish. Um,
Wow.
so I'm glad to hear it's going down well. That's a great, you know, it's exciting.
Well, it's funny when I decided I wanted to talk to you guys because my wife's a fan of the show, so she was like, "Oh, why has the?" I feel like this transition from big screen to small screen was such a great idea for this particular character. How did that happen for you guys?
Well, I mean, first of all, let's not forget that television has changed. You know, 10, 15 years ago, you would not be getting the talent on television that you're now getting. And cinema, by contrast, you know, is shrinking. And, you know, it seems outside Marvel, there doesn't seem to be that many films even being made for the big screen anymore. It's all on Netflix or Amazon or wherever. So, I mean,
Really?
that's part of what's happened. And when people came to me, when Sony came to me for the rights for Alex Rider, what, 3 or 4 years ago now, that it was clear from the start it was going to be TV, and I was delighted because I thought to myself, if you've got 8 46 or 47-minute episodes, you can do things, you can explore the character, you can actually, you know, expand the story, you can take your time with the telling of it. It doesn't have to just be bang, 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 the end. And so I thought it was exactly right. Sony had total faith in it to the extent that they actually financed the first season themselves without even having an international buyer, which is unheard of in television, and was such a testament of how much they believed in the books that how could I resist saying, no, you know, go ahead to them. And I have to say that my relationships with Sony, with Amazon, and with 11th Hour Films, who made the show, and who, of course, my wife is the sort of CEO there, has been totally happy. You know, it's really been one of those very, very rare movie occasions, which people always say in these interviews, but of course they're lying often. They're not lying, but they're often they are, shall we say, being economical with the truth. But in this case, it really has been a joy working with all these different people.
Wow. Well, I feel like just this cast. I mean, this is a marvelous cast. It just feels right.
But it's great also to reunite them. I mean, you know, when you've got Vicky McClure and Stephen Delane on the one hand, who are so fantastic, and then the issue, of course, Toby Stevens turning up as our guest bad guy. But most important to me, Ronki, Otto, and Brenner, our core family, and Marley as well as Kyra. So, and it's just such a joy to have them all back together again. You know, in this world that we live in now, this very disjointed world where, you know, with the lockdowns and everything that's happening, this show is sort of just a little, it's a sort of a little, it just represents happiness, I think, and family and connection. And it was a, you know, I didn't get to the set very often, sadly. One of the sort of damaging aspects of the lockdowns was that I was unable to actually visit my set, which was a terrible thing for me because I love getting to meet everybody and hugging them and, you know, chatting and laughing and all the rest of it. But what is great about the show is I don't think it looks like a show made during lockdown. You can't tell all the sort of, you know, security and the money we had to spend to keep everybody safe. It just looks like great TV.
Yeah. No, honestly, let's jump into the season two a little bit. This is a really good season. It's a really, you don't have to worry about introducing the characters anymore. We know the characters, and but what's funny is how easily you just jump in, and it's such a delight. Why was this just the right story to tell for the second season?
Well, we jumped over Skeleton Key and kept it with Eagle Strike, largely so we could stick with our family and our actors. Because if Alex had gone to America and then to Russia, where would we have had Blunt and Mrs. Jones and Jack and everybody else? I think what is great is that it is a logical conclusion and continuation from season one. Season one left Alex in a fairly dark place. I mean, his life had been torn to pieces. Everything he believed had been proven to be untrue. He had witnessed some terrible deaths and action. He had been in danger himself. So he begins this second season in quite a dark place, very vulnerable, having to seek psychiatric help. And even that, to me, is very timely. There's a whole younger generation out there who have had two very, very difficult years and who are themselves troubled in many, many ways. And I think it's great to have a hero that they can empathize with who has gone through some of the same sort of experiences that they may be feeling, or some of the same empathy that they have. So and Alex tumbles into a second adventure, but the rules have changed. This time he's on his own. The department doesn't want to know. Blunt and Jones turn their back on him, and so the way I put it is this: he has to save the world at the same time as he saves himself.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is that, you talk about how it's a relevant show, it's a relevant story. It's also, I love the fact that you guys diversify without, it's just natural. It's a natural, diverse cast that you have all
I
sorts of
absolutely love that. I think that from Ronki to all the characters, Nyasha, who plays one of my favorite actors, he's really a standby for Joe. He plays Smithers, and characters like that, and what's that, Charithra, who comes in as Sabina. It's and let's not forget Marley, of course, playing. I love the fact that it is a very, very modern, diverse. We're not trying to tick boxes here, and we're not trying to make TV that is anything other than just wonderfully entertaining. But I think to do it in the way that they have done it, I say we, but they have done it, just makes me smile. I love watching it. And I do think it feels very, very fresh.
Well, and one of the things I tend to appreciate about the show, and again, I am not a TV watcher. I'm like, I don't watch a lot, but it was an instant, the way you present the world and the way there's a bit of a reality based. It never goes off the rails. It never feels like a James Bond light. It feels like its own thing.
Well, I can see a wonderful
What
Bond
was that?
as we speak instead, which I really like. But sorry, I jumped in. You were going to say, what was the actual question?
No, I basically, how much have you had to say about the tone and the atmosphere and keeping it very real and grounded?
I think you're making a really interesting comment, one that will be much liked by the production team, because that is exactly what we wanted. This is heightened, it's fantastical, it is obviously touching the James Bond arena. I've always said that Alex was originally inspired by the thought, why can't Bond be younger? That was sort of the light bulb moment that created Alex Rider. But I think it is very, very important that we don't try to be Bond. First of all, we can't match their budgets or their, the size of a spectacle. So we have to be different from them. Alex is himself not a willing spy. He's not a patriot. He doesn't want to be a spy. He's quite troubled, as I've said, in the second season. So the differences we celebrate. And I think nowhere more so than with Toby Stephens, who of course has been a Bond villain and is now the sort of the main bad guy in our show. And the note we gave him was, we want this character not to be stroking the white cat and enjoying sort of destroying the world, but to be somebody who is more than that, who is troubled, who has a background. And I think he really embraces that. He's a little bit larger than life, but at the same time, he is grieving himself. He is a real human being. And, as I talk, I worry that people are going to think that this show is not fun because it's all about grief and trouble and problems. Of course, it is also about having a good time and just going along for the ride.
And as someone who's seen both seasons, it is a damn good time. And thank you for making it. We got to wrap.
Well, thank you, James. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely. Good seeing you again.
Keep well.